Hello, everybody, and welcome to an edition of The Room, the podcast brought to you by LFC Transfer Room. It's been a while, the transfer window shut, and the three of us went on a bit of a hiatus, but we are back with a bang. I'm Richie, your co-host, and I'm joined today by YouTube sensation Matty Orme. How are you, Matty?
I'm fantastic after that result, Richie. How are you?
I'm absolutely buzzing. So we're recording, obviously, off the back of the demolishing of the mighty Manchester United. So all of us are in high spirits following the fantastic result. So Daz, podcast extraordinaire, how are you?
I'm good. I'm still on cloud nine.
Absolutely.
I laugh every time I see that 5-0. It's the best thing in the world.
We were talking just before that it could have been 7 or 8, but Liverpool, obviously, you know, as soon as United went down to 10 men, they put 5 behind the ball. They probably should have started the game doing that, to be fair, but I think we could have had 7 or 8, but I'm also quite glad that we didn't because, I mean, while we're talking, Ole Gunnar Solskjaer is still in a job. I think if it was 7 or 8, he perhaps wouldn't be, and I think we can all agree Solskjaer is the best thing to happen to Manchester United in the Premier League era.
Yeah, give him a lifetime contract. Man's a football genius.
He's done nothing wrong.
No, 100% not. So, I mean, before we're going to get into a bit of Mo Salah chat, obviously, I think that's the biggest news surrounding Liverpool as well as yesterday's result. But, I mean, what a start to the season, lads. I think this is the first one we've done since the ball has been kicked. And it's just been a phenomenal start, really. I don't really think even I expected, you know, for us to hit all, you know, from all fronts, League Cup, Champions League, and obviously the league. You know, we're right up there. I knew that we would be up there. I didn't expect us, though, to be scoring so many goals. Firmino, he's back to his best again. He looks rejuvenised. He looks revitalised. He just looks sensational. I mean, Matty, what do you make of the season so far?
It blew me away, to be honest with you. With Roberto Firmino, I think he's come out trying to prove everyone wrong, and he's doing that every single game. The fact that he's now keeping Jota out the team, now I know he starts against United, but the past few games he has kept him off the team. I think that speaks volumes of his performance. Klopp has been heaping the praise on him as well. Even other players like Keita, players who I wrote off myself in the summer thinking we should have moved on, he's really impressed me. And I feel as though the players have probably got that bit between the teeth where, yes, we won the Premier League 2 years ago, but none of the fans could see it. And I think now there's just gung-ho to win that league for the fans again.
Yeah, I think the players weren't happy with, you know, how he played last season. So I think that's also like, you know, another addition to kind of like, we've got to make this season the best. And to talk about, like, you know, the Champions League, the group of death, it's only the group of death for the other 3 teams that are playing us. I mean, what a start. I mean, obviously, you know, we know the talent of Salah. I would never have visioned 10 goals in, you know, 10 games. And he's got, what, five assists already? 5 or 6?
Yeah.
I mean, the man's playing, like, off the charts. There is no comparison. You know, I'm sure there's a discussion, you know, Benzema and what's his name from Bayern?
Lewandowski.
For, you know, the world's best player right now, it's Salah, hands down, you know. A shout for Benzema just because he plays for the French team. But, you know, he's got superstars in that team. Man, yeah, I couldn't ask for anything better, apart from maybe 7 or 8-0 against United.
Yeah, I think, you know, from a Liverpool fan perspective, we all know what this team's like. And let's not forget, we're also missing Harvey Elliott and Thiago for a long time, you know, in that midfield. And they're wonderful talents. Curtis Jones came in and he's doing Curtis Jones bits again, showing what a phenomenal player he is. But again, then he has a knock, and it's that midfield has not been consistent. So there's still so much more to come from Liverpool because, you know, the midfield is the engine. And a lot of times we've obviously had Milner, Keita and Henderson. And bearing in mind, those 3 have never lost a Premier League game together. That's obviously saying a lot too. So I think there's a lot more to come from Liverpool. It's a long season. I don't want to get carried away because Man United fans claiming they'd won the league after the first game this season. We're 9 in, so we'll see what goes on. But very optimistic so far, and we are heading in the right direction, absolutely. So we will talk about though this man Mo Salah, because there's a lot of hype around him, and quite rightly so. Best player in the world. And I was trying to rack my brain. I think the last time we had a player of this quality was perhaps Steven Gerrard, but even then he was playing with the likes of, say, Lampard, or Scholes was in the mix, or all of these wonderful midfield talents, Xavi, Iniesta. I don't think there's actually been a standout Liverpool player, certainly not in the Premier League era, who could lay claim to being the best in the world. And I think Mo Salah certainly is that.
Yeah, I've seen a lot of people talking about Luis Suarez, and for me, Luis Suarez is the best individual I've ever seen play football for Liverpool, but he's a striker. And a lot of people seem to forget that Mo Salah's a winger, and his numbers from the wing, it's just scary. He's so consistent. I remember after his first season, everyone was saying, oh, he's a one-season wonder. He's now going into his 5th season and just breaking his own records. He's the top. He's got the most goals by an African player in the Premier League. Now, when you think of other African players, you think of Didier Drogba, who's probably one of the best players to ever play in the Premier League, and Salah surpassed him yesterday. He's the first person to ever score a hat-trick at Old Trafford, which is just mad. For me, he is the best player in the world. Now, there is arguments for, like Daz said, Benzema and Lewandowski, but I think they're out-and-out goal, like strikers. Their job is to be banging these goals in. Salah is a winger and still breaking these records. So for me, at this present moment in time, he's untouchable. There's nobody better in the world than Mo Salah for me.
I think it's the way he conducts himself as well, on and off the pitch. I mean, we all loved Suarez, but we didn't like the baggage that came with it. The biting incident and then the racist incident. I mean, Salah's just, bam, he's a family man. Everybody loves him. Don't matter what team you support. I mean, when you see him play, you're just like, hands down, he's the world's best, and he plays for Liverpool, which is even better.
Yeah, well, hopefully he'll play for Liverpool for a very long time, because obviously his contract negotiations is ongoing. I thought that this would be done, perhaps transfer deadline day, and we're still waiting for it. Rumours, again, if you believe, I think in the Times and the Telegraph are both reporting that Remy Abbas, who is his agent, wants £400,000 a week for Salah. Now, obviously, we don't know how true that is. The issue is that FSG obviously have a very, very rigid wage structure, and they are very strict on it. We know that they are astute businessmen, but I broke down some numbers, and if they gave in, I personally don't think it's giving in to keep the best player in the world giving in. 400 grand a week is going to keep Mo Salah at Liverpool, like he said, for the rest of his career. I don't think it's not replaceable. If you take that £400,000 a week, times it by 52, so you've got a year's salary of 20.8 million a year. Let's say we'll make it worthwhile and we'll give him a 4-year contract. That 4-year contract comes out at 83 million. Now, for 83 million, Liverpool Football Club cannot replace Mo Salah, because you've not only got a transfer budget, you've also got the wages to pay on top. You can't replace anybody. You can't replace Mo Salah with anybody for 83 million. Now, you think of Erling Haaland, who is a generational talent. There is no doubt. He's got a £64 million release clause in January. So there's your 64. You're not going to tell me he's going to settle on a contract which is less than £20 million over the course of 3 or 4 years, because it's not going to happen. Plus, you've also got Mino Raiola's massive brown envelope to throw in there for an agent fee. So Haaland would be the only person I would say could probably come in. And again, you'd have to change. Liverpool would have to change if that happens, because he's a central striker. Then you've got nobody out wide. So for me, if you don't renew Salah's contract, you cannot replace his numbers, because he's in his prime right now. We thought he was in his prime when he first came in, and he became the highest scoring Premier League player in Premier League history in one season. He's in his prime now, and you have to tie down your best players. He said he wants to stay. So, for me, it's a no-brainer. If he wants £400,000 a week, it's not about what he wants. It's about what he's earned. For me, he's earned £400,000 a week. When you look at every other player in the Premier League, Salah would still not be be the top paid player. And that's fine. He's not asking to be the top paid player. So again, FSG, I've always supported FSG. I think it would be criminal if they didn't renew Salah's contract. If that's his demand, if that's what he's asking.
I'm not worried. Because I was thinking with the numbers you've said, it's not even that much money really, Richie, when you think, well, he's on 250 grand a week now. It's only, an extra 150. So it's probably, closer to about 30 million extra over the 4 years. But then when you delve a little bit deeper into it, James Milner, I feel like FSG are probably waiting for players to go to give them the wages. So it doesn't really change the wage structure too much. So if you think of James Milner, he's on 150 grand a week. I don't think he's going to get a new contract and he's up at the end of this year. So I think we might see that Mo Salah maybe will get the increase towards the end of the year. I think, for example, Jordan Henderson, he leaked that we weren't giving him a new contract to the media in order to put that fan pressure on to get him that new contract. I feel like Mo Salah coming out saying he wants to play for the club for the rest of his life is him trying to force the club's hand. And it worked with Hendo, and it's 100% going to work with Mo Salah, in my opinion. I do think we will give him a new deal. Whether it be in January, so FSG can palm off that they've signed a new contract in the transfer window again, that seems to be the model at the minute to make fans happy. But I do think he'll sign, because if you're Mo Salah now, what other team interests you? Like, Barcelona is a massive rebuilding project. Real Madrid's a massive rebuilding project. PSG, maybe, yeah, but if he goes there, he's not going to be the superstar. He's probably going to kill the league, but I don't think he'd go there to replace Mbappe. So there's no way. I think for Mo Salah to cement his legacy as one of the greatest footballers of all time, he does need to stay at Liverpool. I remember Gary Neville said something about that, and I agree. Or it was Carragher. One of them said it. I completely agree. I do think Salah will stay at Liverpool. I think it's probably just a matter of Liverpool maybe trying to wait to shift some deadwood out. Because I don't think if you go into any of our other high earners, if you go to Virgil van Dijk, who's currently the highest earner with his new contract, I think he's on 270 or 280. I think if you go to him and say, do you mind Mo Salah earning 120 grand more? He's going to say, absolutely not. He's going to win me so many trophies during my career at Liverpool. So I think the contract's more or less probably done. I think it's just a matter of Liverpool probably holding out to maybe let you like some Milners or Nat Phillips, for example. He's on 60 grand a week. He's on 60 grand a week. You sell them too. There's the extra that Salah wants. So I do think we're maybe waiting to let some of this deadwood go and then give Salah that deal. Like, I'm not as worried as some other fans. And if I'm proved wrong and FSG did let him go, then that's it for me with them. I'm the same. I have supporters of them. I know a lot of fans hate them because they don't invest in the transfer market, but I appreciate the fact that they've extended the Anfield Road. They've extended the main stand. They're going to extend the Anfield Road. They've given us world-class training facilities. They're investing heavily into the academy because, let's face it, for the past 10 years, our academy hasn't been producing enough quality, and in the recent years, it has. So I do thank FSG for things they've done behind the scenes at the club, and I think they know that Mohamed Salah's worth far too much money. They probably make the money Salah's asking for extra in the Middle Eastern market anyway in shirt sales. So I'm not that worried, to be honest. I do think he'll sign it.
Part of me actually thinks it's already done, and they're just waiting to kind of tell everyone. I just do. I think it's already been sorted out. Just needs to sign it. You can't let a player like Salah go. I mean, I was talking yesterday to a few people. I mean, back in the day, 70s and in the 80s, a player of 29, 30, 31, you'd want to kind of let go. But because of, what's going on with the sports science and everything now, 29, 30, 31, you're in your prime. I mean, the lad's got at least another top 3, maybe even 4 seasons, and I hope he does stay for the rest of his career, because we all talk about how bad the season was last season, and he still gets to score 20 league goals. I mean, the man's a goal machine, So yeah, I do. I think it's already done. So I mean, some Liverpool fans are kind of getting a bit nervous, but I think it's done.
I think with Salah as well, the best person to compare him to in terms of I agree with what you're saying. We do seem to want to let players go around that age. But with Salah, I think if you compare him to, say, someone like Cristiano Ronaldo, Salah's very similar in the sense of he dedicates his life to football. He is a prime athlete in the peak physical condition. So I agree with what you're saying, Daz. I think Mo Salah probably has got 3, 4, 5 years left in. And when you look at Ronaldo, he's still, though he's playing a poor Man United side, he's still playing at the highest level at 36, 37, and so is Messi. And I think you'll see that of Salah as well. I think if you give him a 4-year deal, in 4 years' time, you could probably renew his contract because he's probably still banging the goals in then as well.
He can also, like Ronaldo has done as well, you know, he can play in that central striker role that Ronaldo now is in. And listen, Ronaldo still is world class with a ball at his feet or even in the air. You know, we saw what he did against Atalanta. He's still quality, which pains me to say because he's a Manchester United player. But, you know, you have to give credit where it's due. Also, we mentioned about the other Ballon d'Or contestants, Lewandowski and Karim Benzema, are no spring chickens themselves, you know, and they're still notching the goals, not just in their respective leagues, but also in the Champions League. Lewandowski is an absolute goal machine. I think he is genuinely the only person who can probably contest against Salah for the Ballon d'Or, although rumours are about Jorginho, because obviously, you know, he won the Champions League and the European Championship with Italy. Again, for me, if the Ballon d'Or is about who's won the most silverware, then fine, Jorginho gets it. But surely it's about being the best player in the world. And if that is the case, then it's Salah or Lewandowski for me all day long. But, you know, this is FIFA we're talking about, and we know how the bureaucracy works, and things aren't perhaps always as straightforward as it seems. But it will be interesting. I personally, probably, it's nice to be recognised. You know, if I'm Mo Salah, I want that Ballon d'Or. But from a fan's point of view, we already know, and the world knows, that he's the best in the world. He doesn't need a trophy on his mantelpiece to say that. I think Lewandowski is perhaps the only one who can rival him going forwards, if I'm honest. I just want to talk really quickly about Salah's Premier League record, because it is absolutely phenomenal. When you look at the numbers, he's played 153 times for Liverpool, and he scored 105 goals now with his hat-trick at the weekend. That's 105 in 153. That makes him the third highest Premier League goal scorer for Liverpool as a striker. Michael Owen has 118 in 216, and our top goal scorer in the Premier League is Robbie Fowler with 128 in 266. His goal-to-game ratio is phenomenal. Yes, I know he takes penalties, but he didn't always, so that has to be put into perspective as well. He's only really in the past couple of seasons started taking those penalties. He's only 23 goals away from Robbie Fowler, and then he becomes Liverpool's all-time Premier League top goal scoring striker, and he's got 112 games to do it in.
He'll do that this season.
Yeah.
I'm sure I've seen something the other day that said if he carries on at the rate he's scoring goals now, even without AFCON, he's going to hit 45 goals this year in the Prem. Yeah. That's not even in the Champions League. So Mo Salah will end his career at Liverpool, in my opinion, as I think he'll surpass Ian Rush in total goals if he signs his contract.
That's a bold statement. That is bold. Do you know that he, in his, obviously, you know, record-breaking first season where, you know, highest goal-scoring Premier League player, it took him 13 games to score 10 goals. He's obviously got, you know, 10 goals in 9 games now. So he's already going past that. And we spoke about him staying fit. Have you seen the body on that man? Jesus Christ. I'd be forever getting yellow cards, I would, because I'd have it out all the time. I'd be whipping my top off left, right, and centre, even if I didn't score, you know.
When's he ever been injured? I was thinking about this the other day. I can't remember a time when Mo Salah's been out for a few games.
No, he's and if it is, you know, he does seem to be back quite a lot, and we're seeing it, like I mentioned earlier, in the midfield. Gini Wijnaldum was so unsung for that. He was so underappreciated for his availability. And that's what we're seeing with Salah. And to a degree, that's what we see with Mane and Firmino. They're never out really for a long period of time. You know, and I think Mane's come back this season and he's getting amongst the goals. And, you know, he's really, really impressed this season too. And like I say, Firmino he's a showman, isn't he? Because in front of a crowd, he's just amazing. Different player in front of a crowd, you know.
Yeah, with Firmino, he's one of them players. I seen a tweet yesterday saying from Ryan McLaughlin, who's played for Liverpool, you can not appreciate Roberto Firmino unless you see him live. And then when you see him live, like Klopp said after the United game, the people are going to write books on Roberto Firmino when he retires, because he is stupidly good in that false nine role. It basically Klopp didn't want to say Firmino invented it, but he basically did. Like the way Firmino plays that false nine, no one else does it, and he's irreplaceable. I think the whole front three in that team's irreplaceable, and I think Mane and Firmino do go under the radar a lot because of how good Salah is. Now, if you look at Mane's numbers, he scored 100 goals against Watford in the Premier League, not one pen.
Yeah.
That's, for a winger, that's stupid as well. That's stupid numbers for a winger when you can think of wingers we've had in the past. They haven't scored that amount of goals. Because you don't expect the winger to do that. Now, we're expecting wingers to bag goals every week, and people are like, oh, Mane hasn't scored for a few weeks. He's a winger. It's not his role to score. It just so happens that Mohamed Salah's just redefined what a winger does in this team.
Or Bobby's bagging a hat-trick as well, so he's back to scoring, or Jota as well. Jota's record for Liverpool is equally as brilliant, because for the minutes that he gets, or the lack of, because of the front three, he still bags in the goals as well. And he was a right nuisance all day yesterday. I thought he was really good yesterday. But then again, most Liverpool players were, if not all of them, to be fair. So yeah, Firmino and Mane have gone under the radar. But do you know what? I don't think they mind that. I think that's the team that Klopp has built. They don't mind being under the radar. Same as Salah when Firmino scores a hat-trick. I don't think any of them begrudge each other or anything. And that's the difference. I think that the team that Klopp has built and the teams that have gone by, where we have had Luis Suarez's or Fernando Torres's, who, not steal the limelight because they deserve it, but as in they shine in the limelight. Liverpool players don't seem to want it.
It's like, I just want to give a special mention from the podcast, really, James Milner. Everyone writes James Milner off. Everyone fumes when he's in that team. Now, this season, James Milner is being unbelievable. 8 out of 10s every game. And I think players like that who get wrote off and they're like, yeah, they're not performing like this, they thrive on it. Because even Hendo has been poor this year, but against United, he was fantastic, and he's been getting that much hate. It's like, I like Liverpool being under the radar. I like people saying we've got no chance for the league. I like people saying we've got no depth, because Liverpool are constantly proving doubters wrong. And at the end of the season, when we're lifting that Premier League above Hendo's head again, we can just sit there and go, we told you so. Because I remember the last podcast we done, we all said Liverpool will win the league this year. And the amount of people of opposition teams who listened to it and said to me, you're crackers. You haven't got a strong enough squad. And it's just like, look at us. Like Liverpool this year, every single player has been fantastic. Yeah, Mo Salah took the limelight, but James Milner for me has stood out massively this season. Massively. He is being criminally underrated. He does a job everywhere, and he's someone I am going to be really sad to see leave Liverpool. I hope he does step into a coaching role, because he doesn't get the love he deserves for me, James Milner, and he's a fantastic, fantastic footballer. And the whole team, we don't know. Salah's a superstar, but bar that, nobody else is regarded, maybe Van Dijk, as a superstar. And I like that, because it's a team, and football's a team game. And that's something I love about Klopp's management. He makes the team play as a team rather than, look at United as the perfect example. They've got 5, 6, 7 superstars, and look at them.
And PSG are struggling as well. PSG are struggling this season, and we all said it. It's basically the all of the superstars together almost. Messi and Mbappe, Neymar, Verratti, Wijnaldum, Donnarumma, Ramos. They're phenomenal footballers. Put them all together, it doesn't mean that it always works, and Liverpool have that. So it's moving in the right direction. But I do also recall, and I will have to eat my words, that we was all like, we should have perhaps strengthened in the market, but we brought in Konate, who has more clean sheets at Old Trafford than Rafael Varane.
Who would have thought that Jurgen Klopp knew more than all us fans about football? Like,
oh yeah, exactly. Yeah, never ever doubt Klopp. But
that's
anyway,
the scary thing. That's very scary. That's the only thing that worries me. That Klopp's got 2 years left. That scares me. But the next 2 years, we'll just go and win the Premier League and the Champions League back to back.
And then he'll want to stay.
Maybe.
Yeah, he might do, a year or 2 extension, I hope.
Before we go, would you be happy with if I seen someone on Twitter say something about why not just give Klopp a year sabbatical, let Pep and Linders do it for a year, and then Klopp comes back. Why not?
Yeah, I think that was was it in The Athletic? I think they were exploring that option.
Yeah.
I think it was The Athletic who said that. And yeah, absolutely. If Klopp needs a year, you know, it's just a year on the, you know, it's a year, and if he comes back and he can maintain what he's done at Liverpool, then absolutely, I think you'd be mad not to.
There's nobody better in the world. Nobody.
I can't see him doing that though. You know,
the only thing that I think might keep him, Daz, is he wants that Germany job to end his career, and I think I can't see Hansi Flick leaving him anytime soon, because he only ever wanted to manage Germany, and he knew he had to manage Bayern Munich to get that Germany job. And Hansi Flick's got age on his side, so I do think that you might see Hansi Flick there for 10 years. So Klopp maybe could do that, but I think he'd only leave for Germany or maybe Mainz again.
Yeah. But a very optimistic podcast today, and as I said, we are full of the joys of spring, because there is nothing better than beating Manchester United, especially at their own ground. So thank you, both of you, for joining, and it's been a great podcast. Hopefully next week when we talk, Mo Salah might have put the pen on the dotted line and we'll be singing his praises once more. We've obviously got Preston coming up, and then we've got Brighton at the weekend, and for me, it's got to be 2 wins, isn't it?
Yeah, I think so. I think we'll walk over Preston and walk over Brighton, because they seem a lot weaker since Basuma's been out the squad. They do seem a hell of a lot weaker. So for me, especially at the Anfield crowd, the Anfield will be bouncing for that Brighton game off the back of the United one. So I think we could even put 5 past them like we have against Watford and United.
That'll be something. Plus, like the Preston game, it's nice that we, you know, don't get another Premier League team in the cup. You know, like City do. They get nobody up until the semis. So I think it's time for us to, you know, have a few non-Premier League teams so we can get to the final. But,
Just one trip to Wembley. That's all I want. Yeah.
Well, we want 2 trips to Wembley.
3 will do, Daz. Get the final of the FA Cup as well. We can have 3.
There you go. But yeah, defo 3 points at the weekend against Brighton. I like Graham Potter. I do. I like what he's doing with Brighton. But when they come to Anfield, I want them to get smashed. You know. Yeah, let's have another 4 or 5 goals and put it up there. But the crazy thing is when, you know, you watched Chelsea play Norwich and they put up 7 and went up in the goal difference. And then, you know, I was like, oh man, you know, that's, you know, 5, 6 above us and all that. And they're, you know, 4 points above us before the United game. And then we smash United, and now we're up by 1, right?
1, yeah.
Yeah,
they're on 20, we're on 21. 1 point behind them. But I think about that for the rest of the season. Chelsea's the biggest competitors this year, in my opinion.
Oh yeah, by far. But I think they'll falter. I do. I think they've got a young team, and you know, I don't. Yeah, they won the Champions League, but they won the Champions League basically no fans. You know, massive difference.
Asterisk Champions League.
Hey,
the Asterisk Champions League.
Yeah, exactly. If they say ours is, so same with them. But yeah, I just think they're not mature enough yet. You know, like when we played a couple of seasons ago when we nearly won the league. I don't think we were ready, and then we won the league the next season. So same with this season. I just think our experience will pull us through.
Yeah. Excellent. Wise words from the old man indeed. Sorry, not old man indeed. Sorry. Smart man, sorry. And on that note, we will leave it there. We'll leave it there. But thank you all for joining us, and we will see you again next Tuesday. As for now and for always, from all of us, thank you, and up the Reds.